When the discussion of marriage traditions in Russia is on the line, you can mention from abduction to being royal during the ceremony, and also there are many fascinating customs in Russian weddings. Russia is the largest country in the world with a population of 145 million and over 200 different ethnic groups, representing a mix of European, Western, and Asian cultures. This vast and culturally diverse country has a multitude of distinct traditions influenced by Russia's rich history. But there are something that Russian weddings have in common. Compared to other countries that have serious wedding traditions, Russian weddings are fun and quirky, with all kinds of games and jokes. There's a lot of emphasis on details, entertainment, and food. In general, it is very important that your guests have an amazing time at your wedding. So in this video, we will talk about these customs a little bit more. Russian wedding traditions are an interesting mix of ancient religious rituals, Soviet customs, and modern choices. It is true that current Russian weddings are more in line with Western standards, but they often include some traditional aspects as well. For instance, brides in Russia traditionally wore red until the 1960s. Nowadays, almost everyone chooses to wear white. There is no standard way to hold a wedding ceremony in Russia. In today's digital world, couples are inspired by weddings around the world that they see online and often choose to incorporate features from them into their own weddings. In larger metropolitan cities like Moscow, weddings takes on a more modern sophistication with many fashionable aspects and Western influences. However, some traditional customs are still included. I don't know if it's for fun or to please family members. While this video lists many traditional Russian wedding customs, but most modern Russian weddings did not include all of them. Traditionally, Russian weddings were multi-day events. Today, this has taken on a more modern twist, with many couples planning 2-day celebrations. First, they get married in a civil ceremony at their local town hall, and then they have a grand celebration at a beautiful location outside the city. Some couples also choose church ceremony. Traditionally, brides in Russia did not wear white, but red, a happy color for the bride. The wedding dress consisted of a sundress, a sleeveless vest with a blouse underneath, and a headband decorated with round beads and gold thread. Nowadays, most Russian brides choose a white wedding dress and a bridal veil. It is said that the bride's appearance is also very important, and a large budget is allocated for it. Similarly, most grooms wear suits on their wedding day. Guest attire for Russian weddings tends towards more formal attire. Beautiful dresses, hairstyles and accessories, polished makeup, manicured nails, and clean dress shoes are all very important. For Russian weddings held in a church, casual attire is highly encouraged. Women usually cover their heads with a scarf, and longer skirts that cover their knees are preferred, but it is not mandatory. In Russia, the ransom is more of a fun tradition. In this event, the groom pays a ransom to the bride's father. This part of the ceremony is not at all serious and is done in a humorous way. The bride's parents kidnapped her and hide her before the ceremony until the groom completes a series of challenges designed by the bridesmaid to test the strength of the groom's love. If nothing is done, he must pay real cash, chocolates, or flowers as compensation to the bridesmaids. Once the groom has completed all the tasks correctly, he is allowed to enter the house and must find the bride who has hidden. Sometimes, instead of playing the ransom game, the groom can be presented with a fake bride. In this way, a family member or friend of a bride dresses in a fake wedding dress. When the hidden bride is found by the groom, the whole family drinks champagne and the celebration begins. The bride's mother then gives her daughter a talisman, usually a piece of jewelry or a family heirloom, which is considered a symbol of good luck. This is then passed down from generation to generation by the bride to her daughter. Or give the groom a Kleenex with lipsticks on it, and if the groom doesn't correctly recognize the bride's lip print, he will be fined. Russian weddings can take many forms, including attending a church service. However, the marriage is only recognized once you have gone to the registry office. Some couples also prefer to attend this formal ceremony before the wedding to have more time for the fun of the wedding party. The engagement is the first part of the traditional Russian Orthodox ceremony. This is where the couple stands at the entrance of the church. They receive lighted candles and hold them during the ceremony, which includes prayers and reading from Bible. The candles symbolize the couple's joy, purity, and happiness. However, if either the bride or groom has been married before, the candles are not lit. Since the wedding was considered one of the 7 sacraments for Russian Orthodox followers, the placing of the crown on the couple's head had the greater importance than the exchange of wedding rings. The crowning is the second part of the traditional ceremony, where the couple stand on a piece of rose cloth and the priest places the crowns on their heads. Couples drink a cup of wine followed by a special prayer and exchange of rings. In the past, wedding rings were made of gold for the groom and silver for the bride. However, in contemporary Russia, the rings are usually gold and are worn on the finger of the right hand. However, the first brides wear the wedding ring on the left hand. Traditionally, the crowns were left on for 8 days after the ceremony, but now they are removed after a blessing is said. When a couple is introduced as husband and wife, their parents give them a crystal glass. Then they do their best to break it into as many pieces as possible, because each piece represents a year of happy marriage. After the church ceremony, the civil ceremony of the marriage takes place. A civil marriage in this country takes place at a registry office. On the wedding day, the bride and groom must be presented at the registry office 30 minutes before the ceremony, along with witnesses. After that, the bride and groom are introduced as couple. After the legal formalities are over, the bride and groom release balloons and in some cases doves as a symbol of their union. This is done before they ride around in a decorated limousine, and finally they make their way to the reception. Once the official registration is done, the couples hit the road to visit landmarks, take photos, and perform traditional tasks. Couples usually do these things, taking photo with the tomb of the unknown soldier, that is a war memorial dedicated to the Soviet soldiers killed during the World War II. Visiting bronze horseman, that is equestrian statue of Peter the Great in the Senate Square, and visiting the Vasilyevsky and touching the stone griffons for good luck. If you haven't smashed the crystal glasses yet, you can go to the Peter and Paul Cathedral and do so in front of it. Since the road trip part is so time-consuming, most Russian weddings last 2 days. The excitement and fun begin with a lot of eating, drinking, and merriment. And since Russian couples traditionally get married early, there are lots of fun games played during the reception. In addition, guests pay a fee to help the new couples begin their new life. They also let guests vote on the gender of the first baby by placing money on a pink or blue plate, which is a fake show. When guests leave for the reception, they throw money on the floor and it is the bride's job to clean it up. In the continuation of the Russian wedding customs, in the reception, a series of toasts are offered before the food is served with a shout of Gorko, which is signal for the bride and groom to kiss. The guests also count out loud how many seconds the kiss lasts, and it is said that the longer it is, their love for each other will grow. Before the newlyweds leave the reception, they take a bite of a traditional bread which is heavily salted. Superstition dictates that the person who takes the biggest bite becomes the head of the family.